Okay, so if you made it to this point, either you skipped the first two parts or you really just wanted to see this part. So, mostly, I'm going to try not to talk. I'm going to try to focus on like what I'm doing here. But if something important or noteworthy comes up, I will be certain to say something. All right? So first, I'm going to clean up this gold solder. If you look, on this side it's gold, and on this side it looks kind of rough. That's R101. When the solder starts to look like concrete, it's not good. Also, the flyback. Years ago, when I was using Suzo Hap Cap kits, they actually had a thing at the bottom of the sheet that said to resolder the high voltage unit, and they're talking about the flyback. I don't know if this is the one that like burns up. I think one of these like burns up typically. But the solder on that pin looks different than all the other pins. But first, I'm going to remove this, which I forgot a tool. We're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. So I unscrew the L-shaped heatsink here. And there's another screw hidden in the top here. You can see it. That kind of holds the flyback in place. If you buy a new flyback, you won't have that hole, so you wind up with an extra screw. There's one other tool that I forgot. I'm going to use this. This is my 1/4 inch nut driver. There's my Gerber. I use that for a lot of stuff. This is the ground wire that goes to the neck board. You see how I'm taking this apart? Don't forget to put this back in when you're done. Because if you don't, you will be greeted to a black screen. Because I guess the ground connection will be missing to the neck board. You won't have any electron gun output or heater voltage. You should have heater voltage, but I think it's the electron guns. So the way I take these out is I add solder. I'm going to take the tip cleaner out here. I'm using some Kester solder today. So, going back to the Suzo Hap cap sheet thing about resoldering the high voltage unit, it's another reason why I take the flyback out. It's because it'll have fresh solder when you're done. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone there. I just kind of drag the iron back and forth and it flows it all the way through. Alright. So you're going to be hearing a lot of noises. I actually need the solder cup. I just so happen to have a brand new one here. So that's kind of handy. I started switching these in and out at work. I hope this iron's going to work. Because this is the first time I'm using it since cleaning it. Alright. There we go. Yep, I can just go right around the pins with this big nozzle. Sounds kind of mad already. Let's check the cylinder. Maybe some stuff in the cylinder. Oh yeah. What's happening here? There we go. All right. Let's put this back together. And this should come out. Right? Oh, this one's got the little plastic clip gimmicks underneath. So you gotta push those out first. Typically, I just break those off. Okay, so now there's these blue and white wires. One end plugs in at the deflection board, and the other end plugs in at the neck board. That way you can't mix them up, because that would probably be disastrous. This one is kind of fighting me. Another one of my undocumented tools, the 90-degree pick. These are handy. You get these at Harbor Freight. They come in a set of 4. And there's a zip tie holding these together. You gotta blow that up. And they're all twisted together to make life difficult. I'm twisted together pretty good. And this can go away. We'll throw it in a box. And now, this is a lot easier to handle. Probably gonna put this screw back in though. No, I'll leave it loose. Okay. So let's move on to these resistors down here. So I'm going to add new solder and then remove it. Oh yeah, he's gummy. It's really gummy. Nasty. Yeah, this end of R89 looks pretty dry. So it's pretty normal for this pin on the skinny trace side, that solder pad to kind of burn up. This one isn't, so that's cool. Okay. That, and then this should be R96. Okay, I'll use the pliers. Okay, so let's straighten these out a little bit. So surprisingly, these don't have like a bunch of char on them. You know, if you look at the tips, they're pretty shiny and silver. Those are pretty good. Like this monitor is an anomaly. I mean, it's almost 40 years old, never been messed with, really. And it's okay. But let's throw these on the component tester and see what he thinks. All right, so here's R101. This is 6.8K ohm. It is 6264. That's actually pretty okay. All right, so here's R89. This is 3.9K. I don't normally see these go bad. Yep, 3860. He's good. Very good. I'm telling you, this thing's an anomaly. All right, and here's R96. This is 1.8K. $1,825. So these resistors are all good. Very good. All right. Now, let's clean up these pads. And let's get C57 out. This, I'm curious how this is going to read on here. Let's see. $45.16. No ESR. I mean, it's actually okay. All right. And on the other side of R101 here is C23, which is also a 47 microfarad cap. And this one is rated at 50 volts. Oh, these are actually 105 degree caps. Usually they were putting 85 degree caps, and that's what winds up killing them. I'm going to flatten out this pad in the middle, and you're going to see my destructive nature here. I'm actually going to go with the brush first. These are the flyback pins as well. And then go back to the sanding bit. And this is how I do it. I sand from the plus leg of C57 to R101. R101 to R89. And R89 to R96. Actually, let me do this side too. So I took them down to the bare copper. Did you see that? Now, I'm going to show you why I did that. So C57, and this should be C23. Yep. Oh, I gotta peel this paper off. Okay, so the leg spacing on this cap is actually not as much as the holes. So I'll show you how I do that. Take the minus leg, bend it out like that. See that? And then you take your fine pliers, you do a 90-degree bend like that. Now, what you can do is I'm going to bend the minus leg that way. I don't solder it like that. But what I'm going to do is take this plus leg and bend it like that. So what I'm going to do next is sand these resistors and put them back in. R89, if you can maybe not see, there's like these little pointy thingies that stick out. That's so that it stops it at the board. You want to bend those flat. You want to flatten those out. Because if you try running the sanding bit against that, it'll tear the bit up. I sand these both sides. Take it down to the copper. Okay, let's see, 23. Just FYI, in case you didn't know, the polarity markings on the K7000 are plus side. Maybe you can tell what I'm about to do here. So let's get R101 back in. And what I'm going to do is take this cap leg and wrap it around the leg of R101. This is how I reinforce traces. You'll never have to worry about the solder connection breaking again. Just one solid trace, and then, like I said, I don't solder cap legs flat. Okay, now let's get R89 back in. Cut this leg off. By the way, these legs that you cut off, keep them in a cup. You never know when you might need them to patch something later. Okay. Keep hitting my head on this thing. Let's get R96 back in. A lot of stuff in the way. I'm just tacking it in place for now. And let's put R89 back in. So I'm going to tack that side first. And on the opposite side, I'm like pushing on the resistor to push it in. Alright, so I just got it tacked in place there. It's not going to go anywhere. And now I'm going to finish bending this leg to connect to R89. Just kind of wrap it around. Now I can solder that all together. And then I am going to tin this trace like so. Now go back to the other sides that you tacked. You want to hold it on. You want it to like flow through. Okay, there are those. Now let's do the other end of C57. And that covers that. That is solid. Now the reason why I started doing that years ago was I had a K7000 in one of my games. And what happened was I bought a chassis off somebody off KLOV. And I decided one day, like, I'll put that in there and I'll test it, right? And the one that I bought, I put that in there and it worked, right? So then I go to put the old one back in and it doesn't come up. And I was like, I don't understand. Because back in those times, I didn't know how to fix these, okay? But I'm going to be proactive here. I'm going to do other stuff at the same time. I'm going to go on to the yoke header pins. Then I met a guy where I used to live, and he asked me one day, he was like, can you cap the monitor in my Super Street Fighter 2? And I'm like, all right, cool. You know, I was thinking like, you know, we could hang out and whatever. And what happened was I changed all the caps, put a fly back in, and put the monitor back in the game. Now some of the K7000s, like this one, as a matter of fact, this is an 8-pin skinny neck tube. The yokes on those, they're like backwards. Like normally the pins would go like red, blue, yellow, green, or brown, right? But on that one it went blue, red, green, yellow, or brown, yellow, whatever it was. It's where the plug is split in half. So I put it back in the game like the normal way, and the picture was upside down and mirrored, right? And I'm like, oh crap, we gotta switch the yoke plugs around, right? So I put them back the way that they're supposed to be. Monitor doesn't turn on. I was very like confused in that moment. And take this back out. Turned out that pad for R101 was like barbecued. As a matter of fact, when I added solder to it, it just went and the pad turned brown. I'm gonna do the odd pins on the yoke first. And so back in those times, I didn't use the Dremel. I had like a little piece of sandpaper in my tool bag, right? And here, watch how I do this. I go in like a circle and then above and go over it. That way you get the solder connection like real solid. Okay. So I sanded it, and I was able to get it down to the bare copper, and then I sanded the resistor. And I put it back in the game, and then it worked. And every K7000 that I did after that, R101 was always It was always a thing after that. Because if that solder connection breaks, the monitor just doesn't work at all. Alright, so I'm doing the yoke header pins here. I'm just getting rid of the old solder, laying new solder real thick. Because when these were made, they basically used like as little solder as they could. Now, another thing that I do is there is a diode right here that is D18. And to get that out, well, actually, technically to get it back in, I have to take C38 out first. And I just kind of jiggle it from the other side. That'll clear all the solder out of the hole. Okay. And then I take C38 out. C38 is the width cap. There's a lot of people, they'll put a monitor in their game. Like, let's say it's a game like Double Dragon. Double Dragon, the picture is normally like a square. It's not a rectangle, it's a square. In order to get it to look like a rectangle, you have to use a different value on this cap. The higher the value, the tighter the picture. The lower the value, the wider the picture. So if you have that problem, you got to use a lower value cap. Now here's the thing that I do. I take the D18 out. D18 became a thing when I was down in Texas. We had a Terminator 2. That's hot, by the way. We had a Terminator 2 that was in vertical collapse. Or, not vertical collapse, horizontal collapse. And that little bugger was the culprit. Here, I'm going to sand this one, too. So, basically, my procedure has evolved over time. Alright? And the point that I was getting at with the C38 is there are a lot of people that are like, yeah, I'm trying to adjust the width coil and it like won't go, or I broke it or something like that. With the width coil, the maximum amount of adjustment you'll get out of it, that's what I'm soldering right now, by the way, is about 1/4 inch on either side. Take that square image and fill out the whole width of the picture, you know, that's not going to do it. So I'm going to desolder this out. I'm kind of giving it a little jiggle on the opposite end. I'm just going to take this out. All right, that's the width coil. Now, the process evolved when I was in Texas. I had a monitor much like this one. It worked, and then it developed an electron gun short. The red gun was shorted. And so I had to take this out. I had to do a modification to clear the short. And I like put it back in the game, and it had like not a vertical line type horizontal collapse, but it was like the picture was about like maybe that wide. And so I wound up taking the width coil out, and there's this trace. It goes doot, 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 doot. These 4 pads are like connected together in a trace. This was broken off in the middle. Like when I desoldered it, the trace just flaked off. And that's why it was in horizontal collapse. Alright, well, let's go back to this D18. I know I keep hitting my head on this thing. I know I soldered this, but I'm going to take it back out again. Because I'm going to sand the solder mask off. And this one I'm going to go basically in a line from the diode. Keep it in my head. Alright, now this diode, the banded end goes to this first pin, and I put the diode underneath, like this. That's how I know I did it. I'm just gonna solder this yoke pin. Make these real solid. The diode didn't sand very well. And let's put the width cap back in. Actually, let's put the width coil back in. Where did I put you? All right. That's why I take C38 out. Okay. Let's just tack the width coil first. Okay. Now I will solder the rest. There's that. Now we can put the width cap back in. I put the width coil in crooked. He moved. Uh-oh. It's the byproduct of being OCD. Okay. Go back to that in a second. This you have to kind of hold in. Exploding solder on my fingers. All right. And then just blob all that together. And that. Cool. All right. Now, the solder to the voltage regulator, that can get a little nasty, and remember I wanted to do that too. As a matter of fact, let's do that. Should be able to just add solder to these. That's nasty. That is very nasty. Looks charred, do you see that? Breaking my rules, by the way. I got the pots down. Okay. That should be okay. So let's resolder this voltage regulator. This one I'm probably just going to add solder. You can see I'm going like a circular motion and up and over the pin. And okay. Now, let's take this filter cap out. That was my hand. Yeah, don't do that. Oops. Smells like burning flesh. Yeah, that hurts. Okay, you see how I did that with the 2 irons? Let's see how this measures. $5.58. This is a healthy filter cap. This is a very healthy. See, there's no point in replacing that. There's no point in replacing that until it actually goes bad. Okay. That's the only downside to this thing, this round thing. Sometimes you miss and you tag yourself. Alright, let's do R103. Okay, so this is an axial resistor. There's one leg that goes out the bottom, and then the other leg wraps around and it solders to this heatsink, and that's what creates that connection. So what I'm going to do is add some solder here, which it's a heatsink. It's going to resist me a little bit. And we'll do double iron on this. And it's got like a little clippy thing that it fits under. I'm just going to resolder this. Man, that 750 degrees hits different. Alright. So this thing is pretty warm right now. It's pretty warm. Let me clip onto this heatsink. Let's see what it measures now. It is 3.1. It's not horrible. Normally, I think I said, normally they read about like 3.4, and it's supposed to be 2.7, and it's still hot, by the way. So let's solder this back in. Also, if you're not careful, these 2 pads, these like anchor pads, they can burn off because they don't go anywhere. That's the other benefit to this, like, never really being worked on before, is they didn't use a 1,000-watt soldering iron on it. Alright? Oh, last thing. The signal header. People miss this, and they come back and they're like, yeah, like the screen, there's no red. I turned up the red on the neck board and it doesn't do anything. Actually, let me see if I can get... if I can show this. There's like some halos forming on these. I don't know how it's going to come out. But, yeah, they'll say that I turned the red up and it just turned the screen red. It doesn't show the red from the game. And usually I will ask them, I will say, did you resolder the signal header pins? And they'll be like, no. Or I didn't know that I had to do that, or something to that effect. A lot of these monitors got passed around back in the day. Like your top money making game, the K7000 goes out, and then you just grab another one from another game that doesn't make money. And, you know, plugging and unplugging, that's what breaks the solder down. Okay. So now we get to move on to the fun part. We get to replace all the caps. Alright? So, I gotta find these 1 microfarad caps. Here's one of them. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Once again, I'm like jiggling the cap from the other side. That'll work the legs loose, and you don't have to destroy solder pads. Since my left hand has been compromised, I'm going to use the pliers to yoink these out. There goes my air conditioner. And that's a 33. I think this is the 1. No. Am I in the wrong spot? I am in the wrong spot. See that one that I desoldered? Don't forget to go back and resolder it. That is a 1. One that I did not want to desolder. Okay. And then that's the other 1. May need to add solder. Find the right spot. Uh-oh, it's stuck to my thumb. Okay. See, you had another desolder casualty right next to it. It's a byproduct of the larger nozzle. Okay, so the large caps on these, they have like this sealant. A lot of people think that that's like leaking caps, and it really isn't. It's just a sealant to hold the large caps in place. So the way you get that out is, you see the sealant on this side. I want to bend this way, like this. You want to bend towards the sealant. And it almost came out with it. Almost. Okay, so that's 1,000. Oh, wow. I don't think I've ever seen that before. The thousands on the strips. Okay, there's 2,000 microfarad 25 volt caps. The other one's on over here. So I'm going to set that aside. And this is another one where like the holes don't line up. So I'm going to do the 90-degree bend thing on here. Like that. Just like that. I'm just going to tack that in place. Wait for it to solidify, and then go back and do the other side. All right. Some more gold down here. Let me address this. This is one of those jumper wires, I think. I just pushed it through more. Okay. Naturally, I touched that spot. All right, let's do the other caps in the flyback area. This is another reason I take the flyback out. There's a big cap right there. It's like virtually impossible to get to if you don't take the flyback out first. That's another pasted one. Okay. Got these blue wires in the way. Okay. This is a 22 microfarad 160 volt cap. There's the replacement. And they folded the legs on this for some reason. So I'm going to bend those up. Yeah, you don't ever want to desolder with the legs bent flat. You don't ever want to do that. That's how you rip up solder pads. Just tacking that in place temporarily. Okay. Now I'm going to do the 10 microfarad caps. There's two of them over here by the shutdown pot. They are part of that circuit, if I'm not mistaken. Minus sides face each other in the middle. My finger is pushing both caps in. Okay, now we'll do the 470s. Just these two blue caps. Easy there. Alright, this one's domed. I'm curious what the status is on this thing. It is... oh. Maybe he's not domed. Yeah, he's reading 480. I stand corrected. Okay. Okay. And I will do the 22 microfarad caps. There's one here and one down here. And we're almost there. I'm going to do the 100 microfarad cap. It's the vertical deflection pump cap, charge cap, boost cap, whatever you want to call it. Now, see these little hooky bendy things? I hate those, so I straighten them out. Like that. I always like my caps as flush to the board as I can get them. Cord for the iron always gets hung up on the control panel here. Okay. So let's do the 33 microfarad cap. That's this little blue one here. And now, the 3 bipolar caps. Yeah, they definitely have these smashed flat. Gotta go a little more industrial. There we go. Make sure you don't plug them in the wrong spot. Because I desoldered the pads next to them. So I'm holding all 3 caps in place right now. Don't bridge any solder connections. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Cut into my solder. Okay. All right. So that's all the caps. I'm just going to resolder this D-gauze header. Don't melt them both at the same time. It'll just fall out, and then you got to burn your fingers trying to put it back in. That's also why I did the yoke odds and then evens. Alright, so it's tangled up real bad. So let's throw the flyback back in. Which, it's going to fight me, so let's take these off. And, oh, one of our pins got bent. How did that happen? Maybe it was like that. Let's get this out of the way. Okay. And put this little anchor screw back in. And the heat sink. I'm out of frame, sorry. Let's resolder these. See how I just drag back and forth? If you have fancy solder that has flux in it, it'll make this a lot easier. Okay. Now, here's another thing that people screw up. These ground wires to the neck board, these need to get redone. Because after years and years of like handling it, eventually the wires, they just kind of fray and break off. And getting them out requires some finesse. So I just kind of pull up. Might be able to desolder the rest. Let's see. Yeah, it's like stuck. Oh, okay, I got the big wire loose. I'm going to cut this because I'm going to strip and redo this. The other one's loose too. Okay, you want to take it down bare like that. Let me get my wire strippers. Another undocumented tool. Let's do that a little more. Now this wire that would go to the tube, I'm not going to use that. That's stupid. I'm going to replace that wire. But I don't think I have my black wire here, so. Actually, let's strip a little bit more. Yeah, these wires, they fray and you'd be in a lot of trouble then. Actually, I might have some wire I can use. We'll use some JAMA wire. That's what we'll do. I've gotten away with like 22 gauge wire for this over the years, and Haven't had any catastrophes yet. There's just wires everywhere here. Come back. I'm going to lay this solder on thick. Like that. Now, there is a little disc cap here. You can replace it with this, but I'm actually not going to do that today. So I am going to put this back on. I'm telling you, there's just wires everywhere. Okay, let's plug these back in. And I'm going to cut some of this wire off. And just for added measure, just to do it super thorough, I'm going to resolder the neck socket on here as well. Stupid thing. Because, believe it or not, that solder can break down too. You can lose colors and stuff that way. All right. So, all that needs to be done now is return this to the game and see if it works better than it did. That'd be great. It's burning my fingers too. Look at all this. Unbelievable. There we go. So, that all being said, I hope this was educational. Now that I have revealed all of my secrets to the world, hopefully you can service your K7000 better. Hour and 17 minutes. I said it would take an hour and a half, didn't I? So that's it. I can celebrate now. I finally did it. I showed you how to do the K7000. So I will have another part showing it working probably tomorrow. And we'll see what happens then. Alright, thank you for watching.